guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Overcast podcast where I talk to people who are interesting. I'm your host, Corey Baron, and I'm here today joined by Tim Hellman. Tim, how you doing, man?
Doing well. How you doing today, Corey?
Doing pretty good, pretty good. How's life treating you? How have you been in these somewhat gloomy times?
Every day is different. It's a difficult adjustment, being a musician, where I just spent so much of my time on the road, and then to just have kind of all of those plans fall through. Usually between the Osees and Flatworms schedule, if I'm home for like longer than like 2 months, I start to get really antsy. And so the fact that I really haven't gone on tour since, I guess I got back from an Osees tour in early November of 2019 and haven't really been on tour since then.
Mm-hmm.
It just, it's a strange adjustment.
Yeah. What do you usually do to keep yourself busy?
I have my routine. But due to the pandemic, my daily routine kind of even got in shuffle. I would go to the gym, I'd go to a coffee shop and read for a bit. And, that wasn't even possible during the pandemic. I can go to a coffee shop now, but I can't sit there and read a book anymore. And there are outdoor gyms, but I only do that. And, go see friends in the evening, and can't really do that anymore either.
Yeah. I
guess you can in certain capacities, but going to a bar or something like that, or a show, that's no longer an option. In LA County, things are particularly bad. So it's, you kind of want to limit your interactions with folks.
Yeah. Well, that's cool to hear. At least you can do things like you're doing now, going out to the park and just enjoying nature.
Yeah.
So.
Got to treat yourself in some way,
Yeah. All right. Well, moving into the music aspect, you are a musician, of course.
Uh-huh.
And I'd like to start off with the Flatworms.
Okay.
Now, you guys you've put out a few things. You have 2 full lengths, a few EPs, and some singles and stuff. And I'm always interested in like the recording processes of things. And I guess my first question would be, how is there like a single, not a single thing, but is there like a routine that you guys are usually accustomed when it goes into recording something, or does it differ for each project usually?
It sort of changes band to band. With Flatworms, we've kind of changed our strategies every time, and also we've changed who we've recorded with a handful of times. The first thing we ever did was recorded with this guy, Andrew Schubert. He did this 7-inch, the first 7-inch we put out. And then it's just changed from there. We tried to do some stuff with this guy, Drew Fisher, but it just didn't really fit the aesthetic. And we recorded things with Ty Siegel in his backyard studio for a while. We did an EP in the first full length with him. And I think actually another 2 songs that ended up on a 7-inch. And then, every time we recorded, we've always just thought like, for the next one, let's try to do something different here. Something, maybe use an engineer that would capture this more and more. And Ty was really good with capturing kind of the, I don't know how to really describe this, but I guess the sonic insanity at times. Like, he was really good at capturing the noisier elements, and he had great ideas for how to make that happen. And then for the most recent full length, we wanted to do it with Steve Albini, just because he seemed like he's able to capture the rhythms as well as the chaos. Like, we loved Ty's recordings and working with Ty as well, but we just wanted something that maybe made the drums pop a little bit more. I really loved this record in high school by this band Neurosis. Are you familiar with Neurosis?
I can't say that I am, no.
They were kind of like a Bay Area hardcore band for a while, and then they kind of went in a more, I guess you could say experimental, but just kind of, I guess you could say they just more or less expanded upon the genre. But they did this record, Times of Grace, with Steve Albini. And for me, it was just like an unbelievable sounding record in that it was very heavy. But the rhythms came through in very cool ways, and it didn't sound overly compressed. It didn't sound super slick, but not raw. It wasn't like a Finnish hardcore record or something like that, where it's just like like a boombox recording or something. Mm-hmm. It was I don't know. It was really cool. And when we were talking to Ty, because he puts out the Flatworms records, like, do you think it'd be possible to record with Albini? And he knew Albini, mm-hmm. So Ty made that happen, thankfully, and be able to record with Albini for the last record, and hopefully for future records, because we just enjoyed the process, enjoyed the guy himself. Steve's an amazing human being. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's all I got on that. Sorry, I kind of went on a little tangent there.
No, that's cool. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, that was one of the next things that I was going to get to. Is you guys worked with Steve Albini, obviously, for Antarctica, which was a great album, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Was I would assume that was that recorded pre-COVID or?
Yeah, it was recorded, I believe, September of 2019.
Oh, okay. So like you guys did it like right before shit went south.
Yeah. I think kind of like with all things Flatworms ends up doing, we just kind of planted in the gaps with the Osees schedule. So I think I got home from a Euro tour with Osees, had like a week or two to rehearse with Flatworms, and then flew to Chicago, recorded with Albini, came back, and then had a week to rehearse with Osees, and we went on a US tour. And that really, it's kind of been it for touring for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you kind of touched on the sort of process with working with Albini, mm-hmm. And was that because he's a big name, obviously, and you said that Ty was in touch with him because I know he did their Fuzz 3 also.
Yeah, so, and he's done other Ty Segall full lengths as well. Yeah. Recorded a live record. Mm-hmm.
He didn't do Melted. That was the Ty Segall that you were on, right? He didn't do that one.
Yeah, no, that was Eric Bauer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was back in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the production-wise, compared to your first full length and with Antarctica, it does sound. I guess you guys are really. It's post-punk, so it's meant to be like noisy and loud and stuff, which is great. But it does have that sort of clean element, like you were saying. Like the drums are really clean on this album. So when you were going into that, did you sort of had to subconsciously think, okay, we want it to sound cleaner with like the Albini drums mix and stuff, but kind of having to keep true to your original sound?
It wasn't really, I don't know, the plan wasn't really necessarily to have things sound cleaner per se. We just wanted, I guess, the rhythms to be captured just a little bit more. I guess that would be due to cleanliness, but yeah, the whole goal was just to really just capture the rhythms. We felt like Albini's recording style could really capture that well. Mm-hmm. So that's why we chose him.
All right.
I don't know if that answered the question. Sorry.
No, yeah, that was fine. Yeah, moving into Osees stuff. You were with them since was it Mutilator? Was the first thing you were on?
Yeah, that's the first record.
And you started touring with them when they were touring Drop, right?
Yeah. But honestly, I think we really, only played one song from Drop live when we were touring. We just did the song Encrypted Bounce, which we still play to this day. It's funny that I don't really think Osees falls into the cycle of like we put a record out and we tour on that record. We kind of just, I guess the pandemic really disrupted this, but we kind of just put out a record a year and tour all throughout the year. So we really don't think about it in terms of record cycles or anything like that. We just think about it more or less in terms of, I guess, an operating procedure for the band. We put out records and we tour, and that's it,
Yeah, going into that do you consider you guys, I mean, well, the band, I guess, as a whole, um, would you guys say that you would favor recording or like live shows? Because it seems like you put out a good output of both. Like you're touring all the time, and at the same time you're releasing like 10 albums a year. So
Um,
it's
I think the live show is more preferable, for myself at least.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, the recording's fun, but I'm only there for like 4 or 5 days, just getting my stuff done, and then I take off. And then, um, for me, I think the most fun thing is having it on the road, and there's the dynamics of us playing together. A lot of times we'll take these songs in these kind of jammy territories that I really cherish, because I think there's a chemistry within the group that makes that jamming possible. That, and particularly in this lineup now, with Paul and Thomas,
Mhm.
I think we can just take it to really cool places. We just have these moments where it just seems like in jamming, where like five heads just kind of all become one. And
Mhm.
there are times when songs will go in a direction and it's nothing really discussed. It just seems almost like this instinctual thing. Um, which I don't think, I don't think that was really happening when the group was John, Nick, and myself. I think we kind of hinted a little bit of that when it was John, Dan Recon, Ryan Mutino, and myself. But now with this lineup, I think it's just so much easier. I think we are musically a little more connected than previous lineups that I've been involved in.
Yeah.
If
I
that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from with the live aspects of things, because I've seen you guys 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
and each time it's incredible. I mean, it's one of the best live acts I've ever seen, and I
Thank
mean,
you.
even I don't consider myself like I mean, I'm a musician, but
Mm-hmm.
not I don't I'm not a great musician, I guess. But even I talked to Zach from Orb the other day, and
Oh, nice.
one of the
He's a sweet
things
dude.
that he brought up was that seeing you guys was like mind blowing as well. Like he said that he would watch you guys on stage and just be like, I want to be that. Like I want to be like that. And it's so um just flowing. Like you said, like you guys just become one. It's you guys move in different directions live, and it's not like really one person moving. It's just like you all move as a unit, and it's really
Yeah.
exciting to see.
And there are times when we don't really know where we're going. You just sort of arrive at this point, um, and it's not premeditated. Um, and I just love that process, because I haven't really experienced that with another group, and I don't know for the other guys if it's the same way, but I think for me it's a rare thing, um, kind of a musical chemistry that I've never experienced before.
Mhm. Going back to the recording part of it,
Mhm.
you said you only go in for like 5 days and stuff. I know on
That's
some,
just for me though.
yeah, yeah, I know on some albums that I've read interviews with John. He
Mhm.
says that he usually, for some, I guess, Face Stabber, which is a long album and it has like more
Yeah,
jammy songs on it. He said he'd like to go into the studio and just hit record and just jam, and then maybe
yeah.
go back and listen to it and pick pieces off of that. Is that something that you guys still do, or was that more for like the
Um,
jammy heavy albums?
no, we've definitely done that, and that's kind of how a good number of our songs have kind of even started. Someone will come to practice with an idea. John will have a guitar part, or Paul will have like a drum break or something. Thomas maybe a keyboard line. It's usually pretty rare that Dan and I will bring something to practice to start, but we'll jam on something, and we kind of just usually see where it goes. And John, used to record it on like a little tape recorder. Now he's got what is it called, like Zoom Audio or something like that, that he uses, and he'll kind of document what an idea that was brought to practice, where that goes to the jamming. And that's just been the process for a couple of years now. And he'll bring it home, and then he'll send us notes being like, I really like what happened at like, 1736 to 822 or something like that, and be like, make note of that. And sometimes like a 20 plus minute jam will have maybe 45 seconds of something really good, but that 45 seconds is something that we'll maybe actually try to make a real song out of. Yeah.
So when with the lyrics and the music aspect of it, is that something that you guys record like the jamming and stuff first, and then John takes it home and writes lyrics for it, or does he come in with
usually
lyrics?
Usually doesn't come in with lyrics for the initial idea of a song. Sometimes we'll be jamming and he will just maybe just start freestyling something over it, and I can't, usually it's heavily affected and in a small enclosed practice space, there's a lot of sound going on, so I can't fully tell what he's singing, but sometimes it'll seem like he'll have some sort of like melodic motif that he's going to kind of come back on and maybe add actual words to this phrasing that he's coming up with on the spot. Yeah, it's an interesting process. I mean, Flatworms kind of does a similar thing. Sometimes will come to practice with a fully formed song, and sometimes things will come out of jams. And yeah, he'll kind of do a similar thing of like just kind of having some phrasing that he'll like, some sort of melodic motif, and then write actual lyrics for that later.
Now, you guys earlier, or last year, I guess now, you released 2 like pre-recorded live sessions.
Yeah.
And it covered a wide span of like the entire Osees discography. And that something I've always wondered was like how much prep goes into something like that. Like I would imagine, since you weren't on some of those albums, obviously, was that like would you have to like go back and relearn it with John, or kind of just go home and learn it yourself and then come back to it?
What happened was John would just send us a list of songs, like a Dropbox, file with all these tunes to learn. And usually, we'd have a week designated to release songs, and he would, he'd say before you show up for the week of rehearsal, just familiarize yourself with these tunes. So, on my morning walks, I'd, put my headphones in and listen to the tunes and come home later, work them out on bass. But luckily, like a lot of the early songs, this isn't to, speak disparagingly of the songs. A lot of times they're pretty simple. Like, so sometimes it'd be like 1 or 2 parts. And so it could be like not terribly difficult to learn. Like I wouldn't have to really break my brain for them, but those songs are also just incredibly catchy. So they were, I'd hear them once and I'm like, oh, this is how it goes. This is really memorable. And yeah.
When a while back, I think it was Smote Reverser was the first album that Thomas came in on. Was learning how to, or for him, I guess this would be a better question for him, but like how did you guys sort of work out where his parts would fit in, like to older songs?
I mean, he's an incredible musician, so I think he just had the right instinct for a lot of this stuff. Like, when he showed up and we started jamming with him, he just had a good sense of what would work. And if something wasn't working out, John would say like, oh yeah, don't do this, don't do that. But I mean, yeah, Tom's incredibly gifted. I think I don't remember much discussion honestly taking place. I mean, I think like he showed up, I'm sure John gave him probably a bunch of the tunes to learn. He showed up with his keyboards, but also had like notebook with all these notes written down for all these songs. And yeah, he just knew what he was doing right off the bat. I mean, Tom's incredible. He's definitely, for the most part, I know John's self-taught. I think Dan is mainly self-taught. I think Paul took 1 class in like junior college. I mean, I took piano lessons for a long time, and then took like guitar lessons for like 1.5 years. But I don't really know that much musical theory, to be totally honest. I wasn't a good piano student, and in guitar class, I was just wanting to learn how to play punk and hardcore tunes and the occasional metal song. But Thomas is like actually like a trained musician, and so he's very, very knowledgeable. And
Yeah, and looking at it, like looking back now, pre like Thomas, and then now he seems like it's just obviously he is like an affixed part of the band, but he melded so perfectly, like he fit the sound, and now I can't really imagine Osees without his sounds and their stuff.
Yeah, I feel like and obviously John is like the integral part, but like I feel that yeah, I mean, I can't really speak about how essential I may be in the process, but I can't imagine doing it without the other guys at all. I feel like Dan, Paul, and Tom play such an important role in the band.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the Osees lineup now is my personal favorite, at least with everybody. The Osees, they've always been sort of like an ever-changing group. I mean, with Bridget coming in and out, and Petey Dammit and Mike Schoen and all that stuff. But I think, again, like you had said earlier, it's not really discouraging like any of like their previous work. But I think now it's just sonically and just overall, it's you guys click and it's great together. All five of you now.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I feel, it's nice to hear, because I feel like for the longest time, sorry, I'm just trying to plug in an external battery here to the phone here. I feel like for the longest time, like, playing in the group is kind of like just sort of living in the shadow of the former lineup in a lot of ways. Like, I remember one show that we played and some kid just had this sign that was just like, "Where's Petey, damn it?" And I was like, and just held it in front of my face as we're playing. And, John saw what was going on and like looked the kid dead in the eye, flipped him off, and then just went, but yeah, it was hard to join a band like that. I mean, I lived in San Francisco for a number of years, and I saw them, pretty early on. I used to work with this guy, Jigme Bear, who was playing drums before Mike Schoen was, and I kind of watched the Osees go from a really cool band to more or less just like this colossal thing. And like, I realized how special they were. That is what it is. So that means a lot to hear that you like the band right now,
The association that I have with you guys is pretty much from literally where you started, from Mutilator, which is one of my favorite albums in general. That's from there on is like the golden age. So you would be in my ideal golden age Osees.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's tough sometimes to be like involved in a band that's gone through like a lot of changes, and I think people naturally, they'll have their favorite eras, and I try not to read comments online about that kind of stuff. But every once in a while, like when some kid is like holding up a sign to my face, being like, "Where's Petey?" That's that's kind of a bummer, because I'm doing the best I can. But
how was the process of you joining the band? How did that go?
Well, I knew John for a number of years. So I used to play in Ty Siegel's group. I played in this group Sick Alps for a while.
Yeah.
So I knew John for a number of years. But I'd moved to LA in 2012. Was still doing Sick Alps. We broke up in, I believe, 2013 though. A friend of mine from San Francisco was in town. He was staying with me. We went out to get breakfast and ran into Ty and his wife Danae at the place we're eating breakfast. And we just sat down and we're chatting. And I heard, that John was moving to LA. I mean, his girlfriend had moved to LA, and I knew he was going to be coming eventually. And Ty was like, "Yeah, John's down here now, and he's he's looking for bass players. You should get in touch with him." So like I messaged John and I was like, "Hey man, I hear you're looking for bass players. I'd love to jam with you." And he was like, "Oh shit, what's your email address? I'll send you these songs." And then I get, an email fairly soon after with just a bunch of songs to learn. Spent the day learning the songs, went and rehearsed with John and Nick, just a little tryout, and it clicked. I thought it sounded good. John seemed pleased. Nick Murray is an incredible drummer to play with, so it was just a total treat. I mean, I'd seen him play in a bunch of groups in LA, White Fence, Devin Williams group, a couple other things here and there, and I was always like, man, I would love to actually play with, oh my God, there's a coyote right here.
Oh my God.
Wow. He's looking a little scared of me. Hey, guy. Wow. All right.
How random.
we had just a 5-second little stare down, but he scampered right off.
Spiritual connection.
Yeah. But yeah, no. I guess getting back to it. Yeah, that first jamming went well, and yeah, things just started moving quickly. I mean, John had, I think, depending on the success of like rehearsing with various people, these tryouts, he had like some stuff booked in advance, and they just seemed to go. Things seemed to go well. I don't know. I don't think I'm a particularly hard person to tour with. I don't think I'm super high maintenance or anything. So it's gone well, and yeah.
I see you. You're wearing a Hotel Vegas hat.
I am. Yes.
You guys really seem to like Austin. I know that one time you guys played here for 5 days in a row at Hotel Vegas.
Yes.
Which is really cool. Is that? I mean, obviously, I would say it's one of your favorite spots to play, since you play there so much. But that leads into my next question. Actually, is how's like the touring life? Does that, because you guys tour a lot, and it seems, from an outsider perspective at least, it seems very just nonstop. And I guess my question is, how is that for a member in the band? Does it seem daunting going into a tour?
No, I honestly, I love it. I think to love something like that, you have to love every aspect of touring. I think for a lot of people, because I'm going to be 40 fairly soon. I turned 39 this year. I think like a lot of people get burnt out on touring if they don't love every aspect of it. And I mean, I truly love showing up at, Flying J or like Lucky truck stops and like, buying shitty food. I love reading in a van after I've, being on the road for like 8 hours. Like I don't know. I love checking into a motel at like 1:30 after playing a show. Like, and then I love playing shows, and I love the people that I play with, in both Flatworms and Osees. So I guess the original question, what was the original question? I'm sorry, I went on a tangent here.
Oh, it's just, is the idea, or like going into like an Osees tour, is it sort of like you have to almost prepare yourself for it? Because I mean, it's so much touring and like a lot of dates and stuff.
It is, but at the same time, like I think, you hear about people that be like touring for like 9 months out of the year, and honestly, like we don't really do stuff like that. Like what we end up doing, at least before the pandemic hit, was we would do kind of like 2 Euro tours a year. One that would be, primarily focused on the EU, and then one that would maybe be in the UK. And we do one US tour, and then just one oddball tour. It'd be, like Japan or Australia or South America or something like that. So honestly, it's not that much. Like, like cumulatively, it's probably like less than 6 months worth of actual time spent touring. And then, festival flyouts here and there, local shows, time spent preparing to record a record. And that leaves me also time to like book Flatworms tours here and there too, which will, we don't really do long ones. We just do, 2 weeks absolute max for a tour length for Flatworms.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to do like an East Coast tour, it means we're flying to the East Coast, we're playing shows for a week and then flying home, you know, or a West Coast tour. We haven't even done anything in the Midwest or the South. And we operate similarly when we go to Europe. You know, it's 14 days max, 3 weeks if we can really make that work. But
mm-hmm.
yeah,
one of the things that I've always wondered about you in particular, because seeing like, I mean, obviously John has like his solo project like Damaged Bug, and
mm-hmm.
then Dan was even starting to go into like he messes around with synths and stuff. And I was just wondering, have you ever thought of like doing your like personal own thing where it's sort of just you going in and writing music all yourself?
You know, I've thought about that, and I've played guitar here and there with people, and mostly I just love playing with people. And for me, just playing bass and jamming with people is, for me, that's fulfilling. You know, if I get excited about doing something, it's never like I'm excited to like do this thing on my own. I'm excited to like be a part of a group and see where this goes. That's usually where my interests lie, and that's honestly where I'm the most productive. I'm kind of a lazy person, so I couldn't really bring myself to like, I'm gonna make a Tim Hellman solo record. And I don't know, I'm more interested in just like working with people and just seeing where things go, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess one of the last things would be, I would be remiss if I didn't ask if you can maybe give us some details on any possible future Osees releases coming up. Like, what's the plan for 2021, if there's any at all?
So far, no plan. Yeah, I'm not able to speak on a live stream that not live stream, I guess, quote unquote live stream. We did film something recently, but I'm not at liberty to say what's happening with that because it's nothing has been announced.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's something that will be happening. I think, you know, at one point in time, John was saying, you know, we did release a lot in 2020. We haven't booked any studio time for Osees. So I don't really see anything like that happening. Flatworms don't have anything planned either. Yeah, I honestly, I don't really know.
Just kind of seeing where it takes you.
Yeah. I'll wake up and get the email saying like, we're going to do this. Like, oh, okay. That's what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just try to keep myself busy in other ways. And
with all the things that were released in 2020, like with Osees, I mean, there was a lot of output from you guys last year. Mm-hmm. Was that something that you guys had like a bunch of extra songs, so you're like, let's just make a new album with this? Or did you go into it being like, yeah, we're going to really crank them out this year?
I don't think the plan was to really crank things out. I think there were some songs that we recorded, certain things from the Face Stabber sessions and from we did a show in Mexico and recorded at this place, and we got a couple jams out of that. And so I think John was just like, oh, we're sitting on these things, we should actually release those. So that was, I believe that was the Metamorphosed. I think that's what that was basically. Mm-hmm. Protein Threat was, you know, we just went and recorded a record and that's what happened. And there's some extras from that are on this thing called Weirdo Hairdo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
don't think it was oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think we made this, or John made this effort to we're just going to like flood the OC section of the record store with a bunch of new things. I think it just, you know, it just happened. We had some leftovers that like, I think sounded good and were not, you know, worth just throwing in the trash. And
mm-hmm.
we had a record that came out, and I think Protein Threat honestly is one of my favorites we've made in a while. And there were some songs left over from that just didn't really fit with the record in John's eyes, and those ended up on the Weirdo Hairdo thing. Mm-hmm. Or am I saying that incorrect? Weirdo Hairdo. I think I ended up saying Weirdo Hairdo.
Yeah. So it's mostly John that is the one that sort of curates like what to do with like the extras
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
I mean, yeah, John is the captain of the ship for this stuff.
Hmm.
He makes the decisions on these things. And,
Cool. Well, I think that about wraps it up. I think that's all I have for you. Um,
okay.
I usually end it with asking what, what the future holds, but we already discussed that, and it's kind of just, it's kind of hard to plan things at the moment.
Yeah, it really is. It's you can make plans for something, and then there'll be some new development that'll change everything. My girlfriend lives in the UK, and we had big plans to see each other after Christmas and into the new year. And then, you make these huge plans, and then something else happens, and there's a crazy new strain in the UK, and yeah, I don't know. You can't really make plans right now. It's really hard. It's
Yeah.
um, and I mean, similarly with music. I mean, we have tours booked, but I think we have them booked knowing that there's a good chance they won't actually happen. But
Hmm.
I guess with a lot of musicians right now, we're just all kind of in the rescheduling of the rescheduling of the rescheduling.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
the goalpost just keeps moving for when we're going to actually be able to tour again, and understandably, like, because people need to be safe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good that I'm glad for you guys that with 2020 being a really rough year for everyone, it seems like you guys had no problem with output, and even being able to do the live streams was really cool for me being a fan. I mean, that really, it quenched the sort of live thirst that I needed for 2020, and I like knowing that was the closest thing that I was going to
Yeah.
get to it. It was a really good treat.
And man, it kind of quenched that for myself in a way too, because I mean, these are people that I'm around quite a bit, playing music with quite a bit, and then not having that, not having this like big part of my life, just it's a little strange. And it just felt good to be in that room playing with these people. It scratched the itch, and yeah, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people miss going to shows. I really miss going to shows. I really miss performing. So I think we've all just kind of got to figure out the appropriate substitutes for this. Yeah,
Yeah, well,
we're all in this
hopefully.
together, though.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure,
As
we're all in this
crazy as that
together.
might sound, but yeah, it's just something to be mindful of.
Yep. Well, hopefully the future holds better things, and
I think so. Just
mhm,
we can't despair.
yeah. But yeah, man, it was so great talking to you. Thank you so much for doing this. I hope it wasn't a
Yeah,
complete
man.
waste of your time.
Oh my God, no! This was awesome. I rarely get asked to do any interviews, so this is a total treat, man. Yeah, this was a pleasure. Yeah, hopefully next time we play in Austin, you're able to come out. Hopefully we'll be able to play in Austin again soon.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Um,
yeah,
well, all right, man. Have a great day, the rest of your day. Watch out for more coyotes.
yeah.
Um,
I haven't seen another one yet. That might be maybe the lone straggler
yeah.
trying to return to the pack or something.
Yep.
But yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'll go ahead and let you go.
All right, Mel. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you.